What's up, guys? It's KK the Game Changer, and today we got a video for you talking about how to get business funded. This is one of my favorite topics. I love funding. I am the funding guy, right? So I got a special gift for you guys. Stick around to the end of the video if you want to get that gift, and let's move it on and jump right into the video. So the first thing that I do want to cover is actually not how to get business funding, but it is something that I just want to throw out there really quick, and that's the ABCs. So I coined this thing, you heard it here first from me, and yes, I said first. But the ABCs of funding stands for always build credit. So we always want to be building credit. Someone lied to me, I'm not gonna say who that person is, but they told me cash was king. Well, here we are, and actually credit is king. So we want to always be building credit no matter what. I don't care if we can pay for it in cash. Let's finance that thing, pay on it for 6 months or 2 years. The longer you pay on it, for better, because the banks and the credit unions can give us more money than we can actually work for. That's my opinion. You have your opinion, and let's actually jump right on into the video now. So we got 3 simple steps, and here they are. So the first step is credit, right? The second step is corporation, and the third step is the funding process. Now, I do have something that I do want to kind of clarify, because a lot of people do get corporate credit and business credit and business funding kind of confused. And we're going to speak on today, what we're going to speak on today is actually business funding. We're not talking about business credit, which is actually something different from business funding, right? And then you also have something a little bit different from corporate funding, right? Corporate funding, business funding, and business credit. So the first step on the 3-step process on how to get business funding is credit, right? So in today's example, we're talking about a PG. So in order for you to get business funding, you got to be a good PG, right? So you got to be a good PG, and either you need to be a good PG or you need to find someone else who needs to be a good PG. And what does PG mean? Personal guarantee. So the PG is the person who's going into the bank, going into the credit union, and personally guaranteeing that that money is going to get paid back. And here's a side note for you: the PG, once that PG signs for that corporation to get that funding, it actually does not show on that personal PG's report. So it does not show on the personal report, because all of the cars, the loans, and all the funding that you did gather for the corporation, it goes on the corporation's credit report, not the PG. Now, if the corporation does default on that money, what happens? It then shows on the PG's personal report. But prior to that, it doesn't. So now let's go deeper into the first step, which is credit. So the first step on credit, under the credit category, is to fix your credit. We're gonna fix your credit. We gotta fix your credit. We can't have derogatories. We cannot have late payments. We can't have collections or any of those things like that, bankruptcies, high utilization, anything that's just not good in the banks or credit unions' eyes. All that stuff's got to be cleaned up. We got to clean that stuff up, okay? And so the next step under the first step is build up your personal profile. So here's the thing, guys. You can have a 700 credit score and also have a weak profile. So it's not always about the score. So when we're talking about building up the personal credit, we need to really kind of hone in on the consumer report, what's on the consumer report, not so much focusing on the credit score. And we also need to know that there's different scoring models out there as well. The one that the banks primarily focus on right now at this time in January 2025 is the FICO 8 score. That's the scoring model that the banks and credit unions that they use. So we're going to focus on that FICO score, right? And we're going to focus on building up the consumer report. Now, I know I did say focus on the score, but I did want to differentiate, because you got Vantage 3 and other kind of scoring models, several different FICO scorings. We're focusing on FICO 8 when we're talking about the banks. but we're not. We do have the score is an indicator of what's it gives you a quick outlook what's going on the report. But more importantly, when we want to take a deep dive, we want to build up that consumer profile, right? And we want to have a minimum of 5 accounts. So anything less than 5 accounts on the consumer profile is considered a thin file, and that actually will get you denied. You have a 700 credit score. Let's say you only got 1 account on there. You're more than likely going to get denied because the banks want to see how well you handle credit. The banks like to see multiple different accounts, the different types of accounts. We got installment, we got revolving, and they want to see a mix of both of those different types of accounts, and they want to see at least 5, right? So right here, we got it right here. We want a minimum of 5 accounts. Why? Because anything less than 5 is that's a thin profile, okay? So we're gonna add, so after we fix our credit, right, we're gonna go and add credit builder accounts on there, and we're gonna add at least minimum 5 accounts, and we're gonna be paying on those bad boys for a minimum of 6 months because the banks work in 90 to 180 day cycles. So we're gonna pay on those credit builder accounts, and we're not gonna miss a payment. We're gonna pay those things early, preferably those at minimum 5 accounts, right? We're gonna pay on those things early. Okay, so once we get our credit fixed and we build up our profile with credit builder accounts, remember we need at least 5 accounts. This is important, okay? Do not sleep on that, okay? Do not sleep on that because that is important because we don't need a thin file. We don't need a thin file. Bank's gonna say, we just don't see enough here. Sorry, we're gonna deny you. And don't sleep on this either. This is highly important, okay? Because once we add those credit builder accounts, guys, all those accounts, if let's say you fixed your credit and you had no accounts, nothing positive, nothing promoting payment history, things like that, all those, and you only got, let's say you add 5 credit builder accounts, all those are going to be within any new accounts within 6 months. What I'm saying here is considered a new. Banks don't like to see new accounts within 6 months, okay? So that's why we're going to pay them for 6 months. All right, because on the 7th month, then all those new accounts that you just added are outside of that new account range, and you're kind of in the clear a little bit there, okay? And so the next step would be about month 5, month 6, we're going to start adding trade lines, okay? So what are trade lines? Actually, you got 2 types of trade lines. We got 2 different types of trade lines. We got authorized user trade lines, and then we got primary accounts. So when I'm talking about there, at that point, is I'm actually talking about authorized users. Those credit builder accounts that we just talked about previously putting on there, those are primary accounts, right? Those accounts that are in your name, that you're paying for, and you're building payment history, and you're doing the dang thing. Excuse me. Now we want to start adding authorized users, right? So authorized user is going to give you the boost that you need. So this could be a family member that's got good credit, that's never had a late payment. So if you're going to add a trade line, let's say authorized user trade line from a family member, let's just make sure that that family member has never, and I do mean never, been late on that account, on those credit accounts, and they pay it on time. And more importantly, or not more importantly, actually just as equally important, you want to make sure they have low utilization, because everything that they do on their cards is going to show up on your report as well. So we want to add trade lines on there that got low utilization, and they also have never had late payments on there, okay? And so once those trade lines pop up on there, you should be good to go. We want to look at 720 FICO, the FICO score, okay? We want to have at least a 720 FICO, and we want to have at least minimum of 5 accounts. We add those trade line accounts on there for the boost, and now step 1 is pretty much done. And guess what, guys? You're a good PG at that, okay? So that's step 1 in how to get business credit, is actually building up the personal consumer profile, knowing how to do it, knowing what the banks look for, and setting yourself up as a good PG, so now we can walk into those banks, those credit unions, and do what we need to do. So the second step in this process is the corporation, right? So very similar to the personal consumer report, the corporation needs to be having a proper structure, guys. We need a proper structure, and that's having a corporate address, corporate phone number, professional emails, and having a name that's not in a restricted industry. Also, not being a SIC code that's in the restricted industry, and a NAICS code that is in the restricted industry. Things like that. We want to go out. We want to well, not ourselves, but we want to actually set up the corporation to what the banks want to see, what the banks like, right? So that's under the corporate structure. And here, the next step under the corporate is actually, as you can see right here, we got 2 years old, right? So at least 2 years old. So the corporation needs to be at least 2 years old. Banks don't like lending to corporations or LLCs that are less than 2 years old. Can you get money with an LLC that's less than 2 years old? Yes. The short answer to that is yes. But here's the thing. If you want to maximize the amount of money that you're going to be able to get, we're going to want a corporation or LLC that's at least 2 years old. And then the next step that we got is C Corp, okay? So this is the corporate structure that banks love the most. They love C Corps. Okay, now, can we get money with an LLC? Can we? The short answer to that is yes. There you go. The short answer to that is yes. But here's the thing. LLCs are limited. It's a limited liability company. And if you want to maximize the how much money the corporation could get, you're gonna be here. Simple as that. Simple as that. All right, moving right along to the next and final step on how to get business funding is actually the funding process, right? So once we get our credit right, we're good PG, we got all the our consumer report is looking, you know what I mean? It's looking good, and the banks are gonna say, there's a high chance of the bank saying yes to us to get funding because we know we're good PG, because we went through the process. Now we're gonna go to the corporate process, and we're gonna go and get 0% interest credit cards. We're gonna go after lines of credit, loans, okay? And then we also have alternative lenders, right? So this is how we get corporate funding. We maximize credit card process, okay? We use a very proprietary stacking method. We do have banking relationships here. So we work with banks and to help get you funded. We lines of credit, loans, and alternative lenders. So that is actually the steps on what it takes to get the corporate funding. And as I said, for those of you who stuck to the end of this video, congratulations, and here's my gift to you. So my name is KK the Game Changer, and actually what I'm offering right now with my company, Spirit Tip Solutions, we are actually going to be helping people fix their credit for free. So click the link below the video, right down below this video, and join the free community. And for a limited time only, everybody who watched this video, you come in that community, get your credit fixed, and we're gonna help you get built up to a good PG, okay? We're gonna help you get built up to a great PG and help you figure out all these steps, right? And get you funded, right? Thanks for watching the video. Have a great